case you never know. You call that radio, call that the radio. You call that radio, call that the radio. Come and say, my name, I'll just go with the flow. My name, I'll just go with the flow. So till you miss a mark, now go bend down low. Till you miss a mark, now go bend down low. Boom. Lot of mercy.
Hello and good evening and welcome to You Call That Radio TV. Just a little heads up for tonight's show. We are going to be talking about some stuff that might be a little bit upsetting for some viewers, but I was contacted by Andrew, who said it's Baby Loss Awareness Week, I believe, this week, or it was last week, and he asked me if we could bring this to more attention, because it's quite difficult for getting media to talk about stuff like this, because it is a difficult subject to talk about. And I just want to say at the start, I'm no expert, but I've got some people in here who have got some experience and some stories to share. So I'm just going to sit back and let them talk about it. And I'm going to start with Andrew. Andrew, how you doing, mate?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having us on.
It's an absolute honour. Hold on, Andrew. Joe's literally banging a drum. 2 seconds. Joe. Joe, you stop that just now. Please no. Sorry, man. I don't normally mind like drums going banging in the background, right. But it is. I need to focus and concentrate tonight, because we are talking about a sort of serious subject. But
Stone
we're also going to be
Roses
talking
there,
about.
you know, she bangs the drums.
She does bang the drums very often. But yeah, we're also going to be talking about the positive side of it as well. We're going to have, we've got Leslie Ann, who's doing amazing work. We've got boys for Sands FC as well. So we've got some really inspirational characters coming on to share their stories. So Andrew, I think probably for people that don't know you, just if you want to just maybe introduce yourself and tell us your story.
Yeah. Hi, Mark. So myself, I have not experienced baby loss. However, I do know people that have, and also my partner, she came very close, and it's I cannot imagine what it's like to lose a baby. So I have a lot of sympathy and empathy. I've also, the reason I'm involved in this is because I heard it on Talk Sport back in November 2019. And I heard Andy from Brighton talking to, I think it was Jim White, talking about Sands United. And that was the first I'd heard of it, really. And so I started checking it out. And at the time I was working at North Kelvin Sports Development Group, and I was doing community work. I thought it could be something that we could get involved in because it's such a good cause. And then starting up new projects is so difficult. And I decided to just sort of do it off my own back, really. I did a little bit of research about, was there one in Glasgow, which there wasn't, which I thought odd because there was so many in England. Also, there's some in Wales and there's some in Northern Ireland. So I started to look a bit more, and I found out that there was one that was started by Michael, who was trying to do a Sands United Scotland. So he'd got a group of guys to meet and play at East Kilbride. And
Andrew, can we just to bring it back a little bit, just to explain what Sands United FC is? Obviously, it's an amazing thing, but for people who are new to this and haven't heard about Sands United FC.
Yeah, so Sands United is basically a place for bereaved fathers, essentially, to come together using the power of sport, especially football, to sort of unite them and have a place to go where they can train, play, talk about it, not talk about it, but just be together, really, with sort of like-minded people that have shared the same experience.
Amazing, man.
So yeah, like I said, essentially Michael had started something, but it didn't sort of follow on. It was too tricky. He was based in Ayr, so Michael's still down in Ayr, and he's getting a group of guys together himself. And there's a lot of organisations around. I'd say there's a few that I know of that are not Sands, sort of doing similar things. So it is something that happens. Sands work with a lot of different organisations as well, which is great. And the Sands United brand is quite a big thing. It seems so successful down in England that, it's gone from just like a charity game one-off from Bobby sort of just making it into an 11-a-side thing, joining a league, and that's the blueprint really, is that when you get the guys and they really want to go for it, then that's what it can become, but there's also sort of groups where they're playing 5-a-side or 7-a-side, or maybe it's just a drop in and then they're just sort of working with whatever guys they've got and whatever ability, because often you say football to guys over the age of 30 and they think, am I going to get injured and be off my work? It's maybe no for me, or I've not played for 10 years. Last time I did it, I did my Achilles or my whatever, so
there's also that.
Yeah, man, exactly.
Definitely. Because that's what I was found because just with the little bit of research I did, it was amazing to watch. Because obviously, the first documentary piece of film that I watched about it, it was just one team starting to get a charity match together.
Yeah.
And I seen that it was the Pride of Sport Team of the Year in 2018. Yeah. And all these amazing things, and then when I was looking for the Twitter tag earlier on today, it was like there was Ipswich, there was Brighton, and there's just like all these teams from all across the UK now getting involved, and now with Scotland as well.
Yeah, so Scotland is behind, Fraser's over in Dundee, Fraser Rennie, so he's got things going there. He's got a group of guys. Not enough for like a squad for a team to enter a team, but he's gone out and he did a lot of running, raised fund, and he's bought strips for the guys, which is awesome. Sands give you, as a founder, sort of bibs, cones, a couple of balls, so you got enough to get a wee training session going. So that's what we're doing with our session, and just so that we can adapt it to whoever comes. I mean, we only had 3 guys the last month, right? And I've turned it into like I'm in goals and you can have a shot into me. So I worked the boys really hard, and it was more like a personal training session, but we need guys to play and come along and just sort of break out, and we can get something going here.
And how can people get involved if there's someone watching that thinks,
they need to get in touch with me on, it's SUFC Glasgow at gmail.com. I'll send you once the other guys are chatting. We have a Facebook page. We used to have Facebook groups, but we have a Facebook page now. If you search for Sands FC, Sands United FC Glasgow, you'll find us, and you can keep in touch with what's happening, namely the sessions and when they are. At the moment, they're just monthly, because doing it weekly, I've set up walking football sessions, and so it's very hard to just get recruitment happening, week on week and building it. So I didn't want to demoralise anybody. I just wanted to sort of work on the word of mouth, and we'll just do it gently, because the COVID situation hit and we were ready to go and get things going back in, and then March hit, and so we had to take a hiatus of like 20 months or whatever. So it's kind of come at a really awkward time, and it's still awkward to a certain degree, because people are obviously looking after themselves, wanting to stay in as much as they can, but obviously we know that the mental health aspect, we need to be out sort of keeping fit, and obviously if we can connect with folk, ideally outdoors, then we're going to be in a better place. And even more so if it's to sort of just improve our understanding, or just that there's other people out there in the same situation,
Absolutely, 100%. And just to confirm, that is the right address that I was flashing on the screen, which is sufcglasgow at gmail.com. Is that correct, Andrew?
I believe so, yep.
Brilliant stuff. Well, I think we're going to get Leslie Ann on just now. Do you want to give Leslie Ann a little introduction, or will I let her introduce herself?
Well, I could just do it briefly. Leslie Ann is somebody that I was sort of put in touch with, and I was happy to chat with her, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago now, but we had a great chat for about 45 minutes or so, just getting on each other's page, and she was really engaging and was able to sort of enthuse with what I was doing, and likewise with her. Her husband's part of our football group as well, so hopefully see him at our next session.
Amazing stuff. I think we can go live to Leslie Ann just now. How you doing?
Hi folks, how you doing?
I'm very well. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. So, Leslie Ann, please just tell us a bit about what it is you're doing. It seems like you're heavily involved in this.
Great, yeah. Well, hi folks. Thanks very much for having me on. This is actually my radio debut, so the nerves are here. However,
don't worry, it's not even radio. We call that radio, but I mean, I don't know if it is. You're fine.
So what I'll do is I'll just give a wee bit of background about myself, and just a wee bit about the charity and what we're up to, if that's okay.
That's great.
So yep. So my name's Leslie Ann Thompson. I'm 44 and I'm part of Glasgow Sands. So I sit on the committee. And I'm also involved with the groups. We do monthly groups at the minute, but however, that's not been going ahead due to COVID, and that's been really difficult to just, reach out to folk and stuff, especially during COVID, when folks' mental health has taken a dip and feeling isolated. So yeah, I'm part of the Glasgow Sands group, so it's the Stillbirth and the Neonatal Death Society, and as you were saying earlier, Mark, it's a really sensitive subject, kind of still is today, and folks are not really kind of want to chat about it, and I think for years with my situation, I felt quite embarrassed about what's happened and not confident about wanting to chat, but that soon took over, and I wanted to raise awareness. So anyway, I am a proud mummy to Callum, who's 16, Nina, who is 11, and Austin, who's 7. But I'm also mummy to my identical twin girls, Eva and Jenna, and they were sadly born sleeping at 24 weeks on the 31st of December 2008. And that was absolutely devastating, as you can imagine. I'd never heard of anybody losing a baby. It happened to me, and I was in hospital for about a week and a half. The doctors and the midwives and consultants trying different procedures, but it wasn't meant to be. So when I left hospital, I was given a wee leaflet for Sands, and I eventually plucked up the courage to call, and I got a lovely lady, Tricia, on the other end, and I went along to one of their meetings, and again, I'm just really nervous for all that. However, I went along, and it was just a cup of tea and a blather, and really relaxed. And it was just, what Andy's picking up there is, you're in amongst people who have been on your journey, who are living in your footsteps every day, and who just know the feelings and all that grief and the trauma and everything that goes with that. So after being at Sands and stuff and getting the support, my husband and I decided to try again. We fell pregnant in the summertime of 2000, whatever it was. Anyway, we managed to get to 20 weeks pregnant with another wee baby girl, Anna. And sadly, again, she was born sleeping, and she had a really rare chromosome disorder that can only happen to 1 in every 5,000 births. So, that happened to us. So 2008 was the worst year I think could possibly ever happen to us, and I'm hoping that. So, it's just that way. I wanted to keep going back to Sands, to get the support there. And we eventually went on and we had Nina, and we also had Austin as well. So, that role for me, because we're all volunteers at the group, and it's just making that link with other bereaved parents, because it's the loneliest place when you lose a baby. There's people who would have been in contact with you, wouldn't contact you. There's people who would really surprise you as well, who would just kind of cut off friendships. And I suppose that maybe speaks more about them than it does yourself. So, however, I have met the most wonderful people through Glasgow Sands, some of the most strong women and men, and my closest friendships that I've developed. because these people know your vulnerabilities and they have seen you at rock bottom and they've also picked you up from rock bottom. So that's a wee bit about my background. So yeah, and you know, and it's what I describe as my forever journey. There's not a day that I don't think about what's happened, or think about what could have been. You know, and that's just part of my life. And I'm fine with that, you know, as Liam and I were saying earlier, you know, I'm happy to chat and share my experiences because, you know, your journey will help someone else as well. So,
Absolutely,
sorry, Mark.
I think it's quite interesting what you're saying about, you know, the fact is you said you did actually, well, you weren't aware of anyone that you knew that hadn't been on that journey before, and I think that's obviously I speak to the fact that people don't talk about it because it must be that you did know people, but people, you know, this is why, I mean, even I was like, it's cause obviously we do a bit more comedy and music, and it was like, so it's like, oh, I don't know if I really, how I can talk about it as well. So, but like a lot of times, like we've done shows on mental health and stuff like that as well. Sometimes you've just got to go, right, well, not talking about it doesn't help, so let's talk about it. And I think it's amazing that you've went back and you are being able to share your journey with other people because, like you said, it must be such a lonely thing.
Absolutely.
We're going to bring on, I think it's, hold on, who's left, who's next? It's Alan, is that right? Andrew, you know Alan, is he in your team?
Yeah, I'll do a wee intro. So Alan came the first week. Yeah, Alan came in the first week to our first session, and he came along with his son, Dylan, and his wife, and there'll be one as well. So Alan was, I think there's only 6 players, or was it 5, 6 players? But Alan played like 3 players. You know, he was doing the work of 3 players in the session. He was unbelievable. So
man of the match.
Definitely.
let's bring on the man of the match. Alan, how you doing, mate? So you can kick a ball. You can kick a ball a bit.
It would certainly seem like that. Andy makes me sound like Zinedine Zidane, doesn't he? Well, do you know what? I've just done any other guy. I think, you know, what can I say? I'm just like I suppose like Leslie Ann and like many other fathers who are on this same journey. As Andy, you know, welcomed me and introduced me there, he was talking to me. Saying, you know, he's brought me in talking. I have Dylan, who's just turned 13. He's the most wonderful wee guy. He's so great. Sarah Jane and I, my beautiful partner, fell pregnant in 2017. Sorry, and sadly we lost our wee man Alistair at 28 weeks and 3 days. Yeah, probably the hardest and most upsetting period of my life. But I can say, you know, Sarah Jane and I were offered plenty of help from Sands, but we actually used each other so much. We talked every day, and we still do talk all the time about things that you've gone in the past and what Alistair maybe would have been like and what he would have done, and you know, you just can't say. And then a few months later, we were lucky enough that, you know, Sarah Jane fell pregnant again, and we have George now, and George is 2.5 years old and mad as a box of frogs, but he's great. He's absolutely wonderful. You know, anyone that knows me, Randy will tell you, I've got 2 passions in my life. One's football, and the other one's my kids, my wains. You know, I'd do anything for a game of football, and just Sands. I had seen their 11-a-side team nationwide on Facebook and that, and I thought I really fancy a bit of that. But eventually, I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to contact them, see what they say. And Andy came back to me, and I think it was maybe the month later we started kicking a ball. You know, I missed the last training through illness, but you know, I know that I can't wait to the next one. Really looking forward to it.
Amazing stuff. And So I've got a couple of comments coming in. John here says hello from Sands United FC in Maiden City in Northern Ireland. And James Stewart saying big ups, shout outs to FDAMH.
Oh, cool.
And
You know what?
Raymond Dito's in Troon. Ali Grant's in the house. Mark McInnes in the house as well. So thank you. Keep the comments coming, guys. And we'll also, I think we can go to Liam just now. I know that you might have to pop out, but Liam, how do we know Liam? Someone to give an introduction for Liam?
Yeah, so Liam's was one of a couple of guys that said they were interested in talking on the channel through their founder, Andy Wilsmith, who's the founder of Sands United Football Club in Ipswich. So Liam basically answered the call that I put out for somebody in England involved in Sands United to get involved tonight.
Brilliant. I think we can go live to Liam just now. Liam, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate, yeah.
Brilliant stuff. So you're friends with the original founder. Did you play for the original team? Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm friends with Andy. I've known Andy, like 7 or 8 years now. I used to play basketball with Andy a long time ago in this town I live. And he contacted me last year asking me to play for Sands United Ipswich. To be honest with you, I didn't at the time, just because of, like, I don't know, I'm only 24 and it's quite awkward to sort of speak about for like a young guy, baby loss and that sort of thing. And that's something I found quite difficult. But then, yeah, Andy managed to convince me this year to come along, just a training session. But, I've had a couple of football injuries, so I've been able to get involved a little bit, but, not as much as I would like, but still involved nonetheless. And, yeah, really enjoying it.
It's such a great idea to bring football into this kind of conversation, because obviously, as we know, men are worse at talking about feelings or stuff that's happened to them in general. And also, we're making generalisations here, but there is something about bringing football together that is such a great idea. So well done to Andy for that one, to bringing it all together. Leslie, how do you think that what have you noticed that for the football point of view, bringing football into it? Oh, we've lost Leslie. I think she'll be back in a little second. We've got Greg here as well, who wasn't scheduled to come, but he just sent me a message. A friend of mine who I think he's got the Sands FC top on as well, representing Greg.
Which is my Sands t-shirt, not a Sands FC
a Sands
top.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
I've got the Sands United top on.
Oh, you've got the top on there. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Greg, if you could just give us a little introduction to yourself for people that don't know you, man.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So some people watching might know me. I'm Greg. I play in Colonel Mustard in the Dijon 5. Happy-go-lucky joy party band. But I've also been through a baby loss a couple of years ago, so thought I contacted Mark tonight to see if he wanted some input from that, just to, as we're talking about it and raising awareness right for Baby Loss Awareness Week, just happening. It shows it can happen anywhere and a bit closer to home than you realise.
And with regards to, because it's Baby Loss Awareness Week. Well, I think it was last week because I was double booked. So, what kind of things happened during that week? Is there awareness raised? Are the media doing a good enough job of raising awareness, or is there more that they could be doing? Leslie Ann's back. Hold on.
No, sorry.
Sorry, I think the internet just cut out or something. That's fine. Welcome back. Yeah, but what could someone tell me a little bit about Baby Loss Awareness Week? Yeah. And does the media get involved? Could they be doing more? Feel free to take that away.
I think, am I all right to chat?
Go for it, Leslie.
Yes,
and,
yeah, absolutely.
Like from a Scottish perspective and for Glasgow.
Yeah, Leslie, do you... she's off again, I think.
Well, I can jump in if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great, man.
So to be fair, we had a bit of a charity match last Friday, sort of leading up to that. All the guys involved were sort of sharing things on Facebook, and we had an ex-England player, Terry Butcher, go on the radio and say a bit about the charity match.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
which was brilliant to be fair. And he was guest manager for the game Friday night, and just to have someone like that is just absolutely sensational, really, for the whole thing. Once you get a big time footballer like that on, saying a few bits, just raises the profile bit, and people sort of go, yeah, this is serious, and this is something I want to be involved in.
What was his team talk like?
It's different. I don't think I'll be able to repeat much of it. But no, Terry Butcher's he's an old school kind of guy, and he was really actually quite sincere with what he said, and quite motivating actually as well. And for him to actually come in and say, look, I understand what you're doing here. Like, no one wants to be in this team. It's probably the worst team ever. No one wants to be part of this team, but you're doing it for the right reason.
No, you're right, Clay. It's that club nobody wants to be in, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But at the same point, it's that club that you're so proud to be in at the same point.
Yeah, 100%.
The best thing about joining Sands United FC for me was the fact that I can be proud to go and play football with these guys and talk about a cause, what we're all part of. And, I don't have friends that I could go to and say, I really need to speak to somebody about this. And this is obviously now the bonus for me to have Andy and the guys at Sands United Glasgow. I love it. It's brilliant. Absolutely first class for me.
What was the final score, Liam, for your match on Friday?
I believe we lost 7-1.
It's funny you say that, because our last chat, I did a charity game. We did a charity game for my mate who passed away, and we did a charity football match, and we get beat 16-0. 16-0.
Yeah, we've had a couple of scorelines like that, which I haven't played.
My other friend, he was going around. It was like, how are we going to decide the teams? And he went, I don't worry about that. And he kind of went round and sneakily took all the players that were playing for Ayr United, or at least were playing pub level football. Yeah. And all the unfit guys get flung in a team, and we get beat 16-0. We even missed a penalty towards the end. So that's how well we did.
That doesn't matter, does it?
Not at all. Not at all. It's just good to play, to be involved in something like that. So Mary's commented saying, "Good evening, guys. I was aware of Sands and Ayrshire some years ago, but I'd been unaware of the Sands football. It's a tremendous idea. Very well done, Andy. So sorry for all of lost babies. It's a great idea." And Leslie Ann, I think you did the introduction earlier on. We talked about Glasgow at sands.org.uk and Lanarkshire at sands.org.uk. That's the email address if you want to get involved. I think that's probably the best way, because I think Leslie Ann's internet's cutting out just now. So
it was Lanarkshire Sands that I attended when it happened to me and my wife. They really helped us out, the Lanarkshire Sands group.
Amazing, man. And have you been tempted to play the football?
I've not played football in 10 or 11 years when I was a younger man at university, so don't want to injure myself and put myself out of the band, I could be tempted.
Absolutely, a space for us.
I know.
That would be good, man. I definitely
absolutely.
And Andrew, I've got the
Leslie Ann, you back in the building?
Listen, I just who keeps kicking me out? Is that you, Mark?
Couldn't have timed that any better. I honestly, I did not just push the eject button there. But so if anyone's maybe watching this, and maybe hopefully you would assume that people wouldn't tell you. I mean, when you went through the loss, was Sands brought to your attention, or did you have to find it yourself?
Sands were very much brought to my attention in the hospital, definitely. However, as I said earlier on, I didn't use them straight away. My partner Sarah Jane and I, we use each other for everything. We talk about absolutely everything. It doesn't matter what it is. We go to each other. We always do that. I didn't go to Sands until it became football became that thing for me. It was that I needed that escape from into my own head, from away from my thoughts, and that was always football. And then COVID hit, and so I was still back in my own head again. And then luckily we managed to find that Sands United in Glasgow, and so obviously along with my son, who is wonderful, as I said, Dylan and I went along and met Andy, and then met a few of the other boys, and that's just how I got into being associated with Sands. Yes, I knew about them from before, but I didn't have anything to do with them, which I probably regret now But you know, I definitely do appreciate what they've done for me now.
I think that speaks volumes for what a great idea the football thing is. Because I suppose with football, not only you,
And we're just
it's a good way
starting.
to get
just
away
starting,
from
man.
your. Sorry, man. So football's obviously a good way to get away from your thoughts, but also you're being able to do something positive, turn that into something positive as well, and you know, doing something for such a great charity. Petra's in the house. Hello, troops. Hello, Petra. Thanks for joining us. So so no matter where you're, does anyone know how many different Sands groups there is in the UK?
Sorry, can everyone hear me all right? Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. Oh,
That's me.
She's gone. And she's off. Does anyone? Is it like does most major cities now have a Sands that people can talk to, or is it?
I'm sure there must be something like that in each maternity hospital.
Yeah, I know. We have the Glasgow and Lanarkshire.
Yeah.
Ayrshire's got one. I'm sure Edinburgh does. I think it does.
In terms of a team, no. In terms of a team, no. In terms of
support, so it's pretty much nationwide support, but there's always there could be more teams. What did someone say? Sorry, man.
The thing I found helpful nationwide wise, on the day it happened to us, after we found out our son had died, we'd found out he was dead, but we had to wait a few days to go in for him to be born. And that night, went home and downloaded the Sands app and started reading it. And that was the kind of first thing. So straight away remembered Sands and came back to that. And then a month later, when the first local meeting happened, that's when we started going to the more local groups and getting into it in that way, and started meeting people who'd been through similar things around the same time. And like Leslie was saying earlier, you can form really strong bonds with these people who've been through something similar to you, if not the exact same. But that really helped us. But like Alan was saying as well, also me and my wife were there for each other. We still are. You know, that's that was the thing. We were kind of saying no one's stronger than us. That's how we get through it. That's how you survive. You rely on each other.
Amazing. And Leslie Ann, is it true? Sorry, maybe Andrew's the best person to ask for this one. Did you say that there was an idea that one of the teams is trying to get into the actual league? Did I hear that right?
Fair play, man.
I think Alan's muted. Hold on. Alan, I thought you were going to talk there, but no, I think Andrew's in a bit of a delay as well. So
I'm sure Andy mentioned that earlier. He did say, I'm sure, that there was something about
getting into a league.
Well,
I think I spoke about Rob getting the team going in the first instance from a charity thing into like a league, like just a normal Sunday league or a Saturday league. But Liam, you might know more.
No, I was going to just say, if you were paused, I'll just jump in and just say a little bit my story, if you didn't mind, just because I forgot to sort of mention it earlier.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
So basically, yeah. So I'm Liam. I'm 24. I'm from Suffolk, near a little town called Easton, near Ipswich. Basically, 3 years ago, on the 5th of November, on firework night, me and my wife lost our baby at 13 weeks. You know, and for us, it was, you know, we're a young couple. It was like having our first child together in our house and that sort of thing. We'd had our first scan, and everyone's really looking forward to it, as you do. And and then obviously sort of disaster struck. So now we have this sort of yearly reminder on firework night that, you know, that our baby, what we could have had and what we've got. So, you know, yeah. So sort of firework night is a bit of an emotional night, but now I have a 2-year-old son called Ernie, and he's brilliant, and really. But like, I play Sunday football with my mates. You know, we're all similar age. And being like a 24-year-old guy, how do you really go around and speak about this sort of thing? You know, you don't really sort of, you know, mention it because you're just a bit sort of, go down the pub and, you know, you'll be a right type guy. But I found Andy in Ipswich sort of getting me involved in this, and actually feeling involved with guys who have, you know, been through the same thing is just like so valuable. And to be able to, you know, speak confidently on something like this in front of people, and just say, look, you know, you can do it. It's just a, you know, a big help. And, you know, all the guys in the group are just so inspirational. You know, the way they just sort of go about the business, and, you know, the help they offer you, and the banter, and just the way everyone looks out for each other, really.
It's brilliant, Liam. And as I was actually going to ask Leslie Ann as well, or always, but I think we get cut. Get cut off.
I keep.
What about the media? Obviously, baby loss awareness. What should the media be doing better? Are they raising enough awareness? Obviously, we had a great example of Terry Butcher getting involved, and that helped draw a bit of attention to it. What should the media be doing, do you think, Leslie?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, October is Baby Loss Awareness Month, so it's not just the 9th to the 15th of October, you know, that week. It's the whole month, and it should actually be all the time. Do you know? I know, and I think, you know, I was discussing that with Andy. You know, the media, and it's that taboo subject, isn't it? People just don't want to talk about it. They don't want to discuss it. And what I was saying to Andy on the phone a few weeks back is, you know, in our Glasgow group, we've started a wee running group, and we've got a few runners. So we've done a few runs and stuff like that, and we've completed the Job Leader Scotland course. But for me, you know, I've been at a few races and things like that, and there's always big charities who are represented, you know, whether it's cancer charities, mental health charities and stuff like that. And, you know, I've ran a couple of half marathons and stuff like that, and I could count in like my one hand if it was only me who had a Sands vest on. So for me, you know, it's like, no, hold on a wee minute, you know, I need to do something about this as well. So that kind of gave me that urge to be like, right, every time I'm going out to run, I'm going to wear my Sands vest. So one of the other girls in the group who I've known for a long time, Camilla, we got our heads together pre-lockdown, and we were going to obviously start a running group, but lockdown put that to bed. But in terms of the media and stuff like that, yeah, I do think that they should be doing much more. We're just a small part of the charity. I mean, we get Sands groups, support groups, who support each of the hospitals in our area across Glasgow and Lanarkshire and the whole of Scotland. You know, so we've got strong links with the hospitals and stuff. But yeah, it's not promoted. There's never enough awareness is raised in the media at all. For doing this tonight as well, you know, Mark, thanks so much for having us on. It's just that taboo subject, isn't it? I mean, as Liam was saying, I mean, you know, he's 24. I mean, how does a 24-year-old bereaved dad fit in, you know, with his peers, you know? And it's just, but I think the correlation is that we have to make as well. There's strong connections there with mental health, isn't it? You know, that goes all the way around in terms of it's linked, you know, in a bereavement such as losing a baby. You know, it's everything that you had wished for, that life that you wanted and that life that you imagine totally taken away from you. And that is.
I think Leslie's off again. I've got a comment for Liam. Love Liam. Unfortunately, one of our newer members, but gives us 100% much respect for tonight from Adam.
Say for the media as well, Mark. Like, sadly, the only times it's talked about in the big media is when it happens to someone in the media. Like, I think of the past year, you think about one of the few times baby loss has been discussed in the news openly is when it happens to someone high profile, like it happened to Chrissy Teigen and John Legend last year. And I thought, but half of the media, or more than half, was them slating the two of them for sharing it and talking about it openly and publicly, saying we don't want to know about this. This isn't uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like they spoke about exactly what they wanted to speak about to help them cope. They put everything out there because that's what they want to do. That's absolutely right to open the subject. If you're not ready to talk about it, you don't talk about it as well. It's the exact same thing. You do what's right for you. But sadly, yeah, the majority of the media coverage recently has been
That's a
to
very
put down
good
people
point,
talking about
Greg. I can't remember who it was. It was
Yeah.
It was some sort of an American celebrity that I wasn't familiar with, but it was a name that I recognised. Happened to someone, and they put out on an Insta post or something, and I did see some comments from people saying, you know, basically having a go at them. They were trying to make out what they were, you know, were trying to get clout points for it on Insta. Which is absolutely horrible because you're damned if you do, if you're damned if you don't. And hopefully, I mean, there's been such a turnaround, you know, even in the last 5 years for mental health, where I think that we have tried to not talk about it and just hope everything's going to be okay, and that hasn't worked. So now by talking about things are getting better with regards to mental health, and that's why I'm glad. Thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your story, because I know it must be difficult. But if anything we can do to raise the profile, it sounds like an amazing charity. Every single one of you have just had great stories about it. And I think because it is such a taboo subject, there's not many places to go with it. Such an important charity. And if anyone wants to get involved or learn more about it, I think probably sands.org.uk is probably the best way to do it. The Glasgow email, for if you're interested in the football, that'll be Andrew that'll pick that up. It's sufcglasgow@gmail.com. And if you want to speak to Leslie, it's glasgow@sands.org.uk or lanarkshire@sands.org.uk. Is there anything else that any of you guys would like to cover?
I really feel that we've covered everything. However, I feel that, you know, this has to be promoted left, right and centre, and everyone has to see it. You know, baby loss isn't talked about enough, and we are those proud dads and mums, sorry, obviously not to gender specify. However, as a man, you know, we don't talk about feelings and we don't go into detail about it. We do go into our shell. You know, I'm that guy who is super emotional all the time. You know, and this hasn't been forever. This has been me since that sad day. You know, you get stressed about everything, just the same as everyone else. You get emotional about everything, just the same as everyone else. You're on a knife edge constantly. It's not talked about enough. It's really not talked about enough. This is why Sands FC are so pivotal in my life now. You know, they're going to be absolutely huge for me in the future. I can't wait until COVID's gone completely and we have a massive group of people who can come along and play football and spend some time together. I love the fact that I've now got friends who actually know what I'm talking about. You know, that's a huge thing for me. Before people are like that to me, well, I know where you're coming from. The long and short of it is, no, you don't. Unless you've had that in your life, you have no clue. You know, I'm so grateful to have come on and today and got to speak to or got to listen to, you know, to Liam and to Greg and to Leslie Ann. And I'm so grateful again for Andy and for spreading it, reaching out to me at the time. And probably more proud of the fact that we've had the opportunity to all come on today and talk about it on You Call That Radio. I'm really pleased with that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think it's really good to keep talking like that and mention it, because I don't know if you know this, Mark, or I didn't really talk about it at the beginning, but I get the phone call that when my son had died, actually at Kelburn. It was at Kelburn Festival, so when it comes around next year, I don't know if I can go. And it used to be my favourite festival, but it was a Sunday morning. Yeah, I was driving home that day anyway, so I'd finished drinking the night before. I'd played with Conor Mustard the Friday night. I was due to play with Sambi Bamba that afternoon, and I got the phone call and just ran to my car. You know, my mum and dad don't live too far away because I had to get back to Wishaw. So I drove to my mum and dad's, and my dad drove my car up to Wishaw to get to my wife. You know, it was already too late. He'd passed away in the night on the Saturday, and we went into hospital a few days later. So, and that was the same year Gary and the band had his heart attack. So that 2019 is absolutely the worst year of my life, because we almost lost a guy in the band.
I had a family member in hospital, 2 wards away from Gary that weekend as well. I was at the same hospital. I didn't know that, man. And
it's
obviously,
like
anybody for anybody that doesn't know, Kilburn Garden Party is a festival of fun and music and hilarity. And oh man, I didn't know that. My heart was out.
It was like that week. The Thursday, I'd been to see Gary in the hospital. He was recovering from his heart attack. He was getting discharged that weekend, but couldn't do the festival. Went to the festival on the Saturday. Get the phone call on Sunday, and then went home in the had to wait till Tuesday to go in for James to be induced. So he was stillborn at 26 weeks. So July is always my rough time, but it's having the Sands group to talk to is good. And I might even take up Andrew and Alan's offer of a kickabout if they can.
You're going to come out of retirement. Greg is coming out of retirement
player
after 11 years.
I think you should, Greg.
More than welcome, pal. Absolutely, definitely welcome. I have similar experiences to Greg. You know, I was on my way to college, and that was it. So, on you go, Andy.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to say, look, it's important for me to say that no matter what your ability, we want you to come along, and we'll adapt the session for you. So that's really important that I say that, because this isn't about being an 11-a-side team now. This is about having a drop-in session where guys can come along and kick a ball about.
That'd be amazing.
That probably means I've got to go down to 20% then, doesn't it?
apart from Alan, who's the Zinedine Zidane of the football team. 3 players in one. Danny, so it'd be great. I would love to see Greg come out of retirement after 11 years, play football. That'd be brilliant. And also, I think Leslie, you said at the start it'd be good if it changes one person. Well, Danny says thanks for sharing this and enabling us to hear this conversation. I have a friend who I'll recommend to contact Sands from listening to this, and that's beautiful to hear, because that's what it's all about.
Just want to say, well done, Greg, for sort of mentioning that, because you know, I've got this constant reminder every year on firework night of, you know, of the child I should have here now.
Yeah,
you know, and it's horrible. You know, your friends go out for a few drinks on firework night and, you know, go listen to music and all that sort of stuff. And for me, that's just the night I want to sit in on my own and just, you know, it's the worst thing than ever.
Yeah, no, it's horrible, Liam. And that night, especially being such, the whole country going mad for it, that's can't be easy.
And Mary's added, losing a baby is the most awful thing ever, and warm empathetic support is vital. Keep up the good work, says Mary. But I was going to say as well, Greg, you know, I suppose one of the things we talked about earlier on is the fact that, it was Leslie was mentioned about, you know, you get lots of marathon runners doing cancer research or whatever, and lots of great cancer charities as well, like, sort of, I'm sure, but
you're not to minimise them either, do you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, I think, like, you know, you've got some great charities. I think like Macmillan Fund and Maggie's Wheels, is it as well? So you get lots of good ones. I think it's also better to support the local charities cause it means more than sort of the bigger ones. I've always found anyway. But when you're, you know, both me and Greg are in bands, and you don't. So we're asked quite often to play charity gigs, and I've not really heard of a Sands gig. Greg, is there one? Have I missed out? Have I not paying attention?
Not that I know of, or at least in the time I've been more involved in Aware. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, at Glasgow, we normally have an annual ball, but obviously COVID we've not been able to do that, so we usually have an annual ball. We try and tie that in with the Baby Loss Awareness Month. So when that starts up, Greg, we would love to have you entertaining us for the evening. I
can definitely get in touch with either Connor Mustard, or I'm involved again with Sambia Bamba, so you've got a couple of options.
Options there.
I mean, I got my T-shirt last year doing the 310,000 steps for Sands, so
you wear it well. Great.
I'll take 2 tickets, please. Now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where do you know? Where's the ball normally held?
So the ball is normally held just in one of the big hotels in Glasgow, just in the city centre, so that everyone can access it. And it's a fabulous night, you know, just to celebrate the charity and just to talk about our babies as well, you know. And we have some different acts going on. We have like silent auctions and stuff like that. and we have the midwives and from all the hospitals come along as well. So it's a really, really worthwhile night. It's my favourite night in the social calendar. So we're hopeful next year that we'll get back to normal to do that, eh?
Amazing, Leslie. Give us a shout if you need any help with that
Oh,
as
absolutely.
well.
I will do.
And shout outs to the midwives as well.
These
what
people
was your experiences with the midwives?
Well, for me, I mean, people are always so... Oh, they just want to tell you their worst case scenario, don't they? They want to tell you the awful bits that happen. And I have to say, through my two losses, and through all having my babies, I was at the Princess Royal. They were absolutely amazing. I mean, throughout any pregnancy, if I felt anxious or if I felt, gosh, I'm not sure if I felt the baby move today or, anything. And I could just go up and they would hook me up to the heart trace monitor and I could get a wee scan, and they were absolutely amazing. And actually, when I had Nina, after I had lost the twins, Eva and Jenna, and my other wee girl, Anna, I had a run of midwives come in and they were just like, we are so delighted that you're leaving here with a live baby. And, to people that might sound dead strange, but for someone who's experienced a loss, not just one, but two, that it's wonderful, and the support that I've had from the Princess Royal is amazing. I'm actually the link person for the Princess Royal, so through the charity we provide like memory boxes. We've got a couple of rooms up at the hospital as well, where in the eventuality, it's just off the maternity wing. In the labour suite, a bit quieter, and it's just a wee bit more comfortable if parents are experiencing a stillbirth or a loss, neonatal loss. So we kit the rooms out, and we make it a bit nicer than not clinical. So my experiences have been really, really positive. It's not one of those blame cultures, where you're feeling really angry. Of course, that's just part of grief, isn't it? That's that grief cycle where you go through all that, trying to understand and try to comprehend what's actually happened in your life. But no, my experiences have been really positive, and we're still building on those relationships with health and the other charities as well. That you were talking about earlier, Mark. Simba, we've got Simba, we've got Tommy's. So we partner up with all of the guys, and we're all working towards the same outcome, and that's just about raising awareness. So
amazing. We've got a couple more comments before we go. Adam says, very proud of you, Liam, well done for tonight. Faze saying, I was getting my gestational diabetes test when I found out Alistair was gone. Sorry to hear that. Joyce says, hi guys, thanks very much for sharing your stories. Although it's really sad, it's good to hear people talking and raising awareness of all the little ones that didn't make it. Absolutely, 100%.
Lovely.
And hopefully the ball returns next year. The party ball, and hopefully the ball returns to Greg's foot and he can come out of retirement.
Hopefully the ball can be between Ipswich and Glasgow next time.
Absolutely.
Glasgow versus Ipswich, home and away, 2 legs. That'd be great. Well,
that sounds great. I'd love a road trip. That would be excellent. Andy, you better jump on that, pal. I'm fancy a night out.
I think we'll probably visit Glasgow because Ipswich is nice.
I will.
You need to do something to your leg, pal.
You can put on the after party and get all the bands involved then.
That's the one.
That's it.
Excellent.
The Insta. I forgot to show the Insta. So if you want to keep up to date, there's an Instagram page.
Yeah.
It's here. It's Instagram Sands_Glasgow. If you want to do if you've got an Instagram, that's how you do it. Sands. Tom says Sands Ipswich has been a massive help for me. Every one of the lads are so supportive and helpful. I may be the youngest there, but they look past the age and just see another person who's gone through the same thing. That's a lovely sentiment there from Tom as well. Yeah, thank you very much, guys, for sharing your stories with us. I'm sure it's helped people out there that are tuned in. And if anybody has been affected by anything tonight, then you have got the sands.org.uk website there. And from there, you'll be able to find out all the contacts. And if there is a football team in your area as well, if that's something that you might be interested in. So guys, thank you very much. I look forward to chatting with you again, and at the ball, or maybe a Glasgow Ipswich game, and a wee party after that. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go, guys?
Oh, just thanks for having us all on, Mark.
Yeah.
Let me get
Thank you so much.
No, sorry.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much.
I'm glad you could all make it. It's been a pleasure speaking to you all. And You Call That Radio might be back tomorrow night. I can't remember. We might be back tomorrow night. We might not be. But if you've just tuned in for the first time, just hit the subscribe button. This show's powered by our patrons at patreon.com.
Become a Patreon.
You Call That Radio. That is how we get to do this stuff. So thanks to the patrons for making this show happen. And also, so we'll see you, if not tomorrow, later on in the week. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure speaking to you all. And hopefully see you in the real world very, very soon. Thank you.
Yeah,
bye.
Definitely. Cheers, guys.
Brothers and sisters. Is that you, Daniel? Are you before me?
Call that radio.
You call that